Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. Following our series on understanding different planetary presence in different houses of the astrological chart, in this video we are going to have our discussion on what kind of results you can expect if you will find different planetary presence in the 10th house of your astrological chart. So friends, to begin with, what does 10th house tells about? So 10th house tells about your personal ambitions, 10th house tells about your professional aspirations, the prospects of name, fame, recognition. Most importantly, 10th house tells about the way your deeds will be seen and perceived in the society. So if I were to simplify it, 10th house tells about what kind of nature of work you will do, with how much efficiency, with how much dignity you are going to perform those deeds, and along with that, how much recognition you will get out of all the actions done by you. So friends, like the way we say this thing that you can still hide the signification or prospects of other houses. For example, whatsoever you have been doing in the areas of the 3rd house, you can still hide it. Whatsoever you have been doing in the signification of the 4th house, you can still hide it. But the beauty of the 10th house is that it is the house which is always in the public's eye. So because of which it becomes very important, especially for all those people, like if you want to become a successful politician, you want to become a successful actor, successful musician. So all those people who have carved a niche for themselves in these fields, you will definitely find their 10th house to be in a very empowered state. So that is something, friends, which we get to know from the 10th house. So now friends, now what we are going to do is that we will try to understand that if you will find different planetary presence over here in the 10th house, what kind of influence is it going to infuse in the matters of the 10th house. Friends, try to understand this thing. Like when we talk about the profession, when we talk about your career, for that there are so many entities which have to take into consideration. For example, 2nd house tells about your earnings, 3rd house tells about your skills, 6th house also tells about your competitive spirit, your daily work life, and in a way, if you want to understand in which field your profession is going to be, for that we have to see the dignity and condition of the 10th house lord as well, where actually it is placed. But right now what we are trying to do is that because of the planetary presence, we get to know that in that specific area of your life, what kind of environment, what kind of decor you are finding, what kind of challenges you have to deal with, or what kind of gifts you are getting because of the planetary presence or planetary environment created because of the presence of that planet over there. So like the way I always give this example, an empty room can be seen as a house. That room is locked, you have the key, the moment you are going to open the door and you will enter that room. So basis the planetary presence, basis the zodiac sign, you will find the environment within that room. So you can look at it in this way, that planet represents energy, zodiac sign represents how planet is going to function, and where it is going to function, that we get to know from the house. So now friends, beginning with the first planet, so let's say for example, if you will find sun to be present in someone's 10th house, so definitely friends, this can be seen as one of the very good sign, because when we even talk about the significator or the karaka connected with the 10th house, so for example, sun, Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, all these planets are considered as the karaka of the 10th house, and sun out of all of these planets are considered as the archetype best placement for sun to be placed in. So that tells about that in your professional undertakings, in the nature of your deeds, you might remain lucky in inspiring people because of your like good leadership qualities, because of the righteousness which you hold in your personality, your dignified endeavor. You might get a chance to work with the very prominent sect of the society, like dealing with successful politician, dealing with people who are highly connected in the society. Your nature of work might also make you very famous as well. So this placement can be seen as a very good sign, where your 10th house is actually getting glorified because of the presence of the sun. So whether if you want to become an actor, you want to become a politician, you want to reach the top management, this placement of sun in the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign. Now friends, it also comes down to that what is the nature of your deeds are. So for example, if you are a kind of person whose nature of deeds are very unscrupulous, are very questionable, there are always credibility related issues, so trust me, your deeds are always getting monitored because of the sun's presence in the 10th house. So one thing which I can say with this kind of placement, that this can be seen as a very good sign for inspiring people with your nature of work, with your actions, with your deeds. Prospects of name, fame, recognition, dealing with a very prominent sect of the society, or becoming prominent by yourself, all those possibilities and tendencies are tend to remain very high, very strong. High ambition, prospects of getting name, fame, recognition is definitely going to be very strong because of the sun's presence in your 10th house. So your 10th house related matters are definitely going to get glorified over here. And in many cases, that can also be foreseen that in your actions, in your profession, in your nature of deeds, your father, or there might be a strong say or guidance or influence of your father as well in your profession as well. Moving ahead, friends, now let's say for example, if you will find the presence of moon in your 10th house. So definitely friends, like the way I started this discussion on this note, that the planetary presence in the 10th house tells about the way you will be perceived in the society. So moon's presence in the 10th house tells about that you will give this impression, you will exude the energies of someone who is very nurturing, someone who is very empathetic. And along with that, friends, 10th house and the planetary presence in the 10th house can also tell about your work ethics or your working style. So you might be someone, if authority has been bestowed upon you, so you will become a boss who will always be very concerned, emotionally very much concerned regarding your teammates, emotionally very much connected with your bosses as well. And you could be among one of those few on whom your bosses might have strong faith, strong trust, emotional connection. So from all of those perspectives, the presence of the moon in the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign. Like the way, friends, we say this thing that when we talk about the presence of the sun in the 10th house, this can be seen as a good sign for becoming famous. But majority of the times, being known is one thing, but in order to have that lasting impression, people should feel connected with you, people should empathize with you. All those celebrities who have carved a niche for themselves, what makes them distinctive? Because people can actually relate with them. So for example, when we talk about Indian celebrity like Shah Rukh Khan, so the young girls, when Shah Rukh Khan was at the prime of his career, someone used to see him as his lover, someone used to see him as his good friend, someone used to see him as his son, as his brother. So that is the kind of emotional substitution, emotional connection people can have and the masses can have with you. So because of which moon's presence in the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign. And along with that, dealing with the feminine products, or getting a good feminine followership, or working in the fields or your career being getting progressive only because of the support of the female influence. So from all of those perspectives, the moon's presence in the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign. And like the way, friends, I always say this thing that in our astrological chart, moon is something which tells about in which specific area of life our emotions are attached. So just by the mere placement of moon in the 10th house also tells about that definitely you're going to be very professionally and career driven, because your subconsciousness, your mind, your feelings are somehow attached with your duties, with your profession and your public image as well. Moving ahead, friends, now let's say for example, if you will find the presence of the Mars over here in your 10th house. So definitely, friends, like the way I have mentioned this thing that with the planetary presence, right now we are not talking about which profession you are going to choose. Here we are just talking about that your professional undertakings will involve what kind of energy, what kind of environment will be there in which you will function. So because of the presence of the Mars over here, that can be seen as a good sign in this regard that you are definitely going to be very driven, very energetic, very confident, very competitive, and along with that, like this can be seen as a very good sign for working in the policing field, becoming a lawyer, becoming a firefighter, becoming an engineer, becoming any field where there is lot of problem solving, lot of logics are involved. So you can function and you can excel in all of those fields wheresoever there is lot of competition is involved. And definitely friends, try to understand this video in this regard, that you are not listening to this video just to know about your future. You are listening to this video to understand that is in your professional work ethics or work style, are these qualities which you are actually implementing in your professional undertakings or not. So with your Mars in the 10th house, it asks you, it encourages you to put your full force, demonstrate that fighting spirit if you actually want to excel in your professional work environment. But trust me friends, the mere presence of the Mars in the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign. This is the impression which the world will get out of your work ethics, out of your actions, that this is a kind of person who is very energetic and who puts his or her full force in whatsoever you do in your professional undertakings. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example if you will find the presence of Mercury in your 10th house, so that can be seen as a very good sign. The good part and the beauty of the Mercury is that Mercury amongst all the planetary council can be seen as the manager. So because of which it can give you lot of travels at your work front. This can also give you lot many connections, lot many network circle. Because of the Mercury's presence over here, you will be perceived as someone who's very intelligent, someone who's very strategic, someone who's very jovial, someone who's very quick in multitasking, in problem solving, and who has got a very jovial, very humorous nature. So the Mercury's presence in the 10th house can be seen as a very good for becoming a good manager, a good multitasker, lot of travels, lot of exploration, lot of work related connections. So from all of those perspectives, the Mercury's presence in the 10th house can be seen as a very good energy. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example if we will find the presence of the Jupiter over here. So now friends, as you know this thing that Jupiter in itself, wheresoever it is present, it inspires us to be writers. So for example, someone with having a Mercury in the 10th house, or like for example Mars in the 10th house, you might look forward to shortcut. But with the presence of Jupiter, the whole environment is going to be filled with idealism, filled with righteousness. So you might be put forth in a profession, in a situation where people will expect you to be very law abiding, very ethical, very righteous. You might inspire other people with your writer's deeds as well, for having interest in training, in teaching, in philosophy. You might also make use of philosophy and religious ethics and vibes in your professional undertakings, in your work ethics. So the Jupiter's presence in the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign in inspiring people with your writer's deeds. And along with that friends, as you know this thing that Jupiter also has got this image of larger than life, like being very expansive. So somehow Jupiter's presence in the 10th house can also expand the prospects of your 10th house as well. Lot many opportunities, lot many prospects of getting name, fame, recognition. So from all of those perspectives, Jupiter's presence in the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign. Most importantly, Jupiter's presence in the 10th house somehow protects the prospects of your public image as well. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example if we will find the presence of the Venus over here in your 10th house. So definitely friends, Venus, which in itself is a significator of harmony, of diplomacy, of good relationship management. So Venus's presence in the 10th house can actually, you could be known for your very aesthetical way of doing things, your good relationship management, your capacity, and the way you diplomatically handle things, you multitask things. And let's say for example if you are in any way connected with the fields of art and creativity, so you will be known for handling very efficiently things, creative something which is very beautiful, which is very pleasing, and having a charm and charisma in your personality. So for all of those perspectives, Venus's presence in the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign for, in a very mellowed way, in a very diplomatic way, and most importantly having strong connections and having a strong finish in your professional undertakings. So for example, someone who might have a Mars in the 10th house, that person might be always in this mode of being competitive or putting his own self-centered or willfulness or his own needs first. But someone who's going to have Venus, he will care for everyone, and he will also be able to win the trust of his bosses as well. So like the way, as you know, this thing, that 10th house, which tells about and all the prominent sect of the society resides in the 10th house. So with your Venus being dignified in the 10th house, it can also make you favorite of your bosses, and it can also give you a wild card entry to the prominent people in any department, in any organization where you will be working. And along with that, progressing in the life, in your professional endeavors, because of the support of feminine influence, because of the support of women. So the presence of the 10th house can be seen as a very good sign, whether name, fame, recognition, relationship management. Venus's presence always creates a very positive energy in the matters of your profession. Moving ahead, friends, now let's say, for example, if we will find the presence of the Saturn over here. So definitely, friends, like the way at the beginning when I explained the results of Sun's presence in the 10th house, Sun somehow can make you famous. But when we talk about inspiring respect, commanding respect, that comes from the Saturn's presence. So definitely you are going to be giving this impression to the world that this is a person who is very dutiful, who is very focused, who is very hardworking, someone who is very resilient, someone who has whatsoever you have accomplished or you have achieved out of your own struggle, out of your hard work, rather than any shortcut. And along with that, being perfectionist in your chosen craft and doing something for which you will be known even after when you have left your job or you have left that field. So that kind of authority, that kind of power. And most importantly, friends, try to understand this thing. Sun can give you throne. Mars can make you very fierceful, very competitive, but the true power in Vedic astrology always is attached with the planet Saturn only. So all those people who control the masses, who hold the power, whether you talk about judiciary, you talk about politics, you talk about people in the top management, somehow they all are connected with the Saturn only. So Saturn's presence in the 10th house can actually make you very dry, but important is that behind you, people are always talking good about you and people respect you. So that is the kind of energy which Saturn is going to create. But definitely, friends, if Saturn is in your 10th house, so 10th house and the planetary presence over here is shaping up the environment, shaping up the theme, shaping up the endeavors. So with Saturn's presence in the 10th house, it means you have to work hard whatsoever you want to achieve. Moving ahead, friends, now let's say, for example, if you will find the Rahu's presence in the 10th house. So definitely, friends, this is also a very good sign. Rahu, which in itself has got lot of appetite to be famous, to try things, to experiment things, to do things out of the box. You might be working in the fields of, anything to do with photography, with films, with mass media, with technology, with software, with coding, anything to do with social media. So the Rahu's presence in the 10th house, definitely Rahu wants to be known. Rahu wants to be in the top of his chosen field. So Rahu's presence in the 10th house is definitely going to make you very ambitious, rather over the top ambitious. It is definitely going to make you very risk taking as well. You want to experiment, you want to try new things, and along with that, getting the support of the foreign people, doing something which is completely unusual, which is taboo breaking, very unorthodox. So that kind of energy is going to get generated because of the presence of Rahu in the 10th house, which can be seen as a very good sign for getting success either in the foreign land because of the support of the foreign national people, and along with that, doing something which is very global in nature, which is very like cosmopolitan, very global. So that is how you can see the energies which Rahu is going to infuse with its presence in the 10th house. The beauty over here is that, friends, when we talk about Rahu, Rahu is the chief planet of manipulation, of diplomacy, which is always done with his own good first in the mind. Like Venus also represents diplomacy, but Venus's diplomacy is good for everyone, but Rahu's diplomacy is good for me first rest I will later on I will see. So that is the kind of upper edge which Rahu can give you. It can actually make you very street smart in the face of any competition. Moving ahead, friends, now let's say for example if you will find the presence of the Ketu in your 10th house. So definitely friends, Ketu can actually make you very indifferent. So your public image is going to get perceived in this way that either people are going to be always confused that what this guy is up to. People could also get this impression that this person is very perfectionist, or people might always be probing or guessing that what you are up to. But definitely Ketu's presence in the 10th house, Ketu is a planet of extremities. So when we talk about that, right now we are just taking into consideration individually one planetary vibration only. But if we will find Ketu to be empowered over here, and you will find Ketu getting support from other strong planets, like for example Mars with Sun, or with like Jupiter. So in any way, if you will find to be empowered in the 10th house, so profession might involve extremities. So all those people whose profession, whose undertakings are always taking extreme turns. So which generally happens with people connected with mass media, with politics, where you have won the election or suddenly some allegation. So those kind of extreme energies. And along with that, friends, definitely your professional endeavors will be flavorized with the theme of exploration, with research, with mysticism. Like for example, you will be seen as someone in your professional undertaking, even if you will become a boss. So you will be among those people who rely on his instincts, his gut feel more, rather than being rational, being calculative, which could be the domain of Mercury. And along with that, your nature of work might also involve working in the fields of spirituality or humanitarianism, anything to do with history, with archives, collection of the public records and everything. So that is how you can see the energies and vibration or the colors which Ketu will bring in your professional undertakings. And friends, if you want to understand from the perspective of the outer planets, like for example Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. So definitely friends, if you will find Pluto's presence in the 10th house. So Pluto, which in itself represents lot of extremities of the power. So you might be perceived as someone, or you might be working in a field where you have to deal with very powerful, very extreme circumstances. You will be seen as someone who is very strategic as well. Let's say for example, if you will find Neptune to be placed in the 10th house, which can be seen as a very good sign to be working in the fields of spirituality, mysticism, artistic creative field. You want to become a sci-fi writer, you want to become a photographer. So Neptune's presence in the 10th house can actually help you, can support you, can actually make you very imaginative. You can become a very successful jingle writer. I was just remembering 2.5 Men, Charlie Sheen. But along with that, you can do something in the fields of sci-fi, space, innovation. And lastly, friends, let's say for example, if you will find the presence of the Uranus in the 10th house. So definitely there is going to be a lot of energy of eccentricity, unpredictability. People are always guessing, always probing that what this person is up to, what is he doing. So there is always kind of a elusive energy around your professional undertakings. Whatsoever you are accomplishing or whatsoever you are losing, people are still not able to believe that how it happened. So that kind of mystery always surrounding your professional undertakings and sudden unpredictable development and growth. This is how your professional undertakings could be, or this is how people are going to perceive you or your actions in the society. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs for the planetary presence in the 10th house. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyawad.